I think he's meditating. Oh,
Recording in progress. Hey everyone, this is Andrew Colyer and Natalie Brown and Shelby Logan Warne and Darin Brannon. We are here from Circuline for our behind the official video. This is season 3, number 2. This is part of our C.O.R.E virtual tour for this year. We have 57 events, and this is one of our weekly videos that we're releasing as part of our new album celebration. This is for the second single that was released called Third Rail. The time of this filming, the single just came out a couple days ago, but you guys are going to see this in about 5 weeks from now. And before we get started, I think we wanted to acknowledge Miss Shelby today. Natalie was going to talk about that.
no, because you've had a busy week. Weren't you nominated for things and stuff? I think you should just talk about it, even though people are going to see this later. Why not?
Yeah, gosh, it's been an insane week. So the week started with a nomination from the Prog space for our video "The End in Mind." C.O.R.E put out middle of last year at some point. I've lost track of time now. It all blurs into one massive thing. But we put out a video for our first single, "The End in Mind," and that was an absolute journey piecing that. It's a full CG, everything in the kitchen sink kind of video, right? And I really pulled out all the stops. So I'm very glad, very happy that it's been nominated by the Prog Space for Music Video of the Year.
It's wonderful.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's wild. And then just a few days later, I got 2 nominations from the Music Producers Guild for Rising Star and Self-Producing Artists of the Year as part of C.O.R.E. Just what a week.
Yeah.
What a week. What a week for
great.
award nominations, I always feel like there's this sense of like everything that I do and all the work that I do is an outlet for me, right? Like I enjoy what I do. I always try and push myself and challenge myself. So whenever these things happen, and it doesn't happen a lot, but whenever it does happen, it feels very wholesome and motivating, and just I feel incredibly flattered to have that kind of recognition,
Lovely, and we're happy to be here to help celebrate you because that's awesome.
Thank you.
That is
And
wonderful.
I also saw this last week. You were singing, lying on the floor with a microphone. Was that tracking a new video, or was that lip syncing to a new track from your new album that's coming out? I didn't understand what was happening. And just for the record, I have tried singing lying down, and if you were actually doing that, it is very hard.
It's very, very
You're
difficult.
a singer. I challenge you to try to lie on your back and sing.
Oh yeah, it really forces you to try and use your diaphragm as much as possible. Then you realize just how much your diaphragm expands when you're laying down, because you can feel your muscles in your back being utilized. But no, the great thing about self-producing and self-mixing and recording your own band is that you have access to all of the files right here. So if I have an idea for any content that I want to throw out, say in this case it was a matter of I wanted to sing this section of this track, I'll just open up the project file, mute the vocal, bounce out that section, and open up a brand new session, put that file in, and just hit record and set my camera, and away I go. So what you're hearing in those videos that I've been uploading, which I've put out 2 so far, are actual fresh new recordings just done for those videos. Yeah, I'm using the Aston Spirit, which is a lovely mic, which I'm sure you guys have. Yep. I know you guys have been using. Yeah, it's been fun, because it's my way of kind of demonstrating. There's no denying that my voice has changed a lot over the last few years. It's been a night and day difference, and I think being able to demonstrate that and show that it's not just smoke and mirrors, it's not just some software stuff that's going on. I'm not trying to manipulate my voice in post-production. That is just the way my voice is now and how I sing. These are fresh recordings for those videos. And
cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds
the spirit, great. And the Aston mic, I mean, when I listen to the tracks of this album, I really feel like I sound like myself. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not, the quality or something, like it reminds me when I used to sing on stage in a 200-seat theater. I liked the way I sounded then. And I've had a hard time kind of replicating it for this band because there's so much else going on too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into just being on a mic and a piano or a guitar, and then the sound for the band. But I feel like the balance, it's just, I feel like I hear myself, how I hear myself in my head. Yeah, I listen to the music, so it's great.
I don't know how nerdy we want to get, but the great thing about that mic is that it actually has a built-in pop filter and shock absorbing feature. But I can actually just hold it, which is not something you can typically do with a large diaphragm condenser mic. You'll get all sorts of rumbling and sort of plosive action going on. But no, like I can just lay down on the floor and hold it like a, like a dynamic mic, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's great.
Without even a pop filter,
Well, that's very cool that you mentioned that, because I was just working on editing the gear behind the music video that's going to be coming out this coming Friday. That if you're watching this video, it came out a few weeks ago, and Natalie is actually featuring that very off-screen and shock mount, but in her own funny.
I don't love the gear videos. I do them under duress. He usually has to give me a present afterwards. I just don't like doing them. but I do like the mic. Anyway,
just as in the Star Wars and the Marvel universe, or any other, pick any franchise in a television series or a movie series where they're constantly referencing other things. For this C.O.R.E virtual tour, I was going to try to keep everything separate, and I'm thinking, if every other major franchise in the world constantly cross-references back and forth, I'm going to cross-reference back and forth. So I know people may not like me holding up the poster, but
no, I don't like
but the thing is, it's a video every week for the whole year. So we have to constantly cross-reference back and forth. We're releasing a single every 6 weeks. We're releasing a promotional video around that single once a week for the whole year. So since this is the behind the official video, and we're going to get to talking about Third Rail in a minute. If you haven't had a chance to check out the story behind the song video, please check that out, because that's myself and Darin and Natalie in the studio talking about the making of that song. And because there are 57 videos this year, we actually had to start creating this content last year, like a year ago. As soon as we finished tracking the record, we had to start creating content already. We did not, just because Shelby lives in London and Dave goes back and forth between Baltimore and England, we weren't able to get all this together in the studio to shoot the story behind the song videos. So we're going to take the opportunity during these behind the official videos just to ask Shelby and Dave, who's not able to be here, by the way, today. He's got some touring conflicts. He's actually in England and Europe right now. He'll be here, I believe, for the rest of this series, but he couldn't make today. Shelby, if there's anything at all that you remember about Third Rail when we sent it to you for the first time. It's in 6/8. It's kind of, when we sent stuff to you, there were no guitar tracks other than my primitive MIDI guitar tracks, whatever that was. Is there anything that you remember about that you liked? You had some really nice lines in there. Do 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 do.
Yeah, that's the one that always comes to mind for me as well.
Yeah.
It's like a signature. It's like a hook now.
It's become
part of the song. It's great.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard it, I thought, "Oh, this is an exciting blank canvas," because I was hearing all these ideas come to mind straight away. The great thing about it is that I could instantly define where the different sections fell, like the verse, the chorus, and the bridges, and just how everything should sit. So therefore that it impacted how I approached the bass parts and how busy I should get. I remember, I think it was Third Rail where I did one version where it was like a little bit busier. No, might have been another track. Maybe I did this with Third Rail as well, but did like a take which was like ever so slightly too busy, and then I needed to rein it back a bit. But I really liked that there was space to add these little bass fills in, where there weren't vocals. I could just chuck in a little noodly. I like doing that. It's again, I've said it before, and I don't know this was the thing I said in the live stream that we did the other day. I'm very heavily inspired by Guy Pratt's bass work, and that's exactly a signature thing that he does. When there's no vocal, when there's no top line melody, throw in a little bass fill where he slides up the neck, does something up here, and then slides back down to playing the core bass riff. That was my approach. That was my mentality going in.
Another thing that was nice and unexpected is that I'm pretty deliberate with my chords when I'm writing, and there's a couple times when I went like in the kind of the bridge going into the chorus, I would end on a D chord building to go into the chorus, and you would never go down to the root and land on that D. You'd stay on the fifth on that A and hang on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and Darin was like, oh, it was just different. It was just different. Nice that you chose other roots other than just the root note of the chord to play. And that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of treating the bass guitar almost as a lead instrument in of itself, without getting too much in the way of anything, right? There's a very fine line to toe, but I don't like just playing root notes. I don't like just being there just to service the chord. And don't get me wrong, there are times where that is all is needed. I like writing bass parts that create some suspense, and that if your ear picks out the bass part, you can focus on it, you can hear it as a lead part, but it's not so much distracting that if you didn't focus on it, you could still listen to everything else and it's not getting in the way. That's like my ultimate goal is to write a bass part that if you were to just solo it would still be interesting to listen to.
Nice.
Well, what was also nice is that I think that traditionally Darin has always shied away from 6/8 because he doesn't want to do things that are common or things that might be done a lot. So when we were writing in the past, he would avoid that because he's like, I don't want to sound like everybody else, which is great. But you may want to chime in, Darin, about how, once you started hearing like what Shelby did, and then he was like, well, I want to redo some of my drum parts because I like what she's doing.
Yeah. I mean, this has always been a pet peeve because I think a lot of people use 6/8 as a kind of a default thing to kind of feel good or happy, and I don't feel good or happy ever. So
Wow.
sorry, people. So, but no, this song, we touched on this before, but it was a bit of a challenge because I don't really like to do what I call cliche parts. So I think having Shelby lay down her first thing really helped me kind of develop. And I do a kind of a busy bass drum pattern through this that's not quite as straightforward rock drumming. So that kind of helps me kind of propel it. We try. And there were some overplaying on fills, which I really liked, kind of doing a little bit too much here and there. Yeah, I think overall, it wasn't my favorite song going in, but it has turned into a very beautiful song that I really, really like now. It's very nice.
Nice.
That's great.
I mean, they're very strong. So, yeah. Very nice.
Darin, that makes my heart so happy.
And Dave sending us back 12 tracks of guitar parts always
well, that always helps too.
That always helps too, yeah.
Because we don't really know exactly what to do with Dave sometimes, but he certainly gives us options. So
yeah, right.
Kudos to that.
Oh my God. We have come a long way, Darin Z, from the first day you heard that song.
Oh yeah, all these songs, even the temporal thing, that one, we'll get into that a little bit later video, but that one was a bit of a challenge too. But it's all about hearing things and kind of maybe doing the first part the way whatever, and then kind of listening to it again and maybe kind of futzing around and doing something slightly different here and there. And that's what makes things, at least in my mind, a little bit more special.
So the video, this is about the video, right?
So yeah,
well, when we were shooting, yeah.
So let's get into that. So
yeah, let's get into that.
So if you haven't seen the story behind the song video, go check that out because we discuss how we wrote it. Natalie talks about the lyrical content, which I think we should touch on here because that's what actually informed how I chose the locations for the video.
Well, we literally went to a train station. Hard leap there.
Now, just give us a brief refresher on what the lyrics are about in Third Rail.
Third Rail is an examination, in my case, a re-examination of lots of past regrets that can just eat away at you and different things, and how you don't want to bring some of those bad things into a new relationship. But some of those things then become what I call the third rail of conversation or discourse in a relationship. It could lead to conflict with the new person based on what kind of baggage you're bringing in, or it could just be something that develops out of the new relationship where you really heartily disagree and you want the other person to see the other side of it. And that's never never going to happen. So you just avoid the topic entirely. That's what third rail is about. The third rail of conversation in a relationship.
Which often can lead to bad things happening in a relationship because you never talk about those things, and then resentments build up and they build up, and then bad things happen. Since Natalie had named, the song was titled Third Rail, I said we were coming up with concepts to do all of these official videos because we knew that, or actually I knew, I think Darin and Natalie and everyone else had the big master plan in mind, but I knew what I wanted to do to promote this record. And we knew we were going to have Shelby and Dave come for a week, and we were going to shoot a whole bunch of videos all at once. And so we were thinking, what's going to be the most efficient thing to do that's close by? That I don't know how the weather is still in England, but now the weather here in the Hudson Valley in upstate New York, we're only 90 miles north of Manhattan and an hour south of Albany, but it's cloudy a lot and it rains a lot. So there are so many beautiful places that we always want to shoot outside, but we never know if we can because it could be raining that day. So we said, okay, well, let's go. We've got 2 train stations within 30 minutes, third rail, go to train stations. So before Shelby came, Natalie and Darin and I, somebody had the idea. One of you guys had the idea to go location scouting. We drove to Rhinecliff and we drove to Poughkeepsie, took a whole ton of pictures. We sent them to Shelby just so she could start having an idea. And the reason we did that is because Shelby produced this video for Third Rail, and she did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
And by the time you see this, you will have seen that because it's the week. This is being released a week after the Third Rail official video. So we sent all these kind of pre-location scouting pictures to Shelby so she could take a look at it to start having some ideas for things. Because we said,
let's talk about filming in a public space. Let's talk about that.
Well, we didn't really think about that in advance.
Yeah.
We didn't really know.
Well,
it's one of the
I don't think
parts of the.
In the scheme of things, it wasn't bad. It's just there were a couple instances,
We'll say that there were a few warnings from some public officials that,
Yeah.
weren't real crazy about us filming without a permit.
Yeah.
A couple of key moments as well, key memorable moments that occurred.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think that's true with just about any location shooting. You kind of just throw it up in the air and hope for the best. And I think overall, I mean, a lot of those shots I'm looking at, the ones that you picked for the video, you would never know that we didn't have a permit. You would never know that we could, do anything because there was hardly anybody in the background. So kudos for that, except for the one ultra friendly guy that seemed to befriend us very quickly and loudly.
Wanted to sing.
Wanted to sing, sure.
Yep.
Why
We
not?
sang together.
I don't think we got footage of him, right?
Oh God, I don't know. Do we?
There may be. I might have.
Well, you might have
him,
a
but I think we were
background
trying to
footage.
avoid him.
Yeah.
But one of my moments that I found to be really enjoyable watching back over the footage was we were inside of the train station waiting area
In Poughkeepsie.
Yes. And this was when that guy. So there's a very vocal guy who, shall we say, was having a good time strolling around the station doing some singing. Right, not related to us, completely not related to us.
And he wasn't wearing very many clothes.
Yes, he was. He was having a good time.
He was having a good time.
He was a character and he was having a good time. Definitely he's the lead role in his life story.
Yeah, absolutely.
It brought a lot of attention to us unintentionally. Because officials thought that he was with us, I'm going to assume. But watching back over some of the footage, there was this one moment where I hit rolling to film a shot, and then the guy walks in. You can hear him in the background, and we're all like, ah. And then those police officers come up to us, and as well as telling him to stop singing, they tell us to stop filming because we don't have a permit. And I'm like, oh God. And I kept the camera rolling. I didn't know what to do, but then when they left, I just said, all right, let's get a quick shot. Let's just keep this rolling. Let's get this shot and then we'll wrap up. But we actually did manage to get like 2 or 3 more shots.
Yes, we did. The one thing that pushed them over the edge, though, was when I was sitting on the edge with my feet hanging over by the tracks. They had quite enough of us at that point. We had to skedaddle after that. Yeah.
We went down to the platform and we were, I guess at the time, I think we thought that we would be able to get away from them if we were in a different part of the station, but I guess they could see us through the cameras or we were being quite cheeky.
Yes, we were.
Taking some liberties, I think.
Yes, we were pushing the envelope on that one. Yeah, and I knew it. Yeah. I knew it. They had been pretty cool up until then, but they were so done with us at that point.
Well,
Yeah.
if
I think we were pretty lucky because by the time that happened, we had gotten most of the shots. And if you
Oh,
look
yeah.
through,
Yeah.
I don't know how many different things you had to kind of go through to pick what you had picked, but really, you don't see anybody in the background.
know.
In a lot, especially the way the video starts in that area. Who'd have thunk?
Well,
I mean,
that's
Yeah.
why we want.
I
That's
mean-
why when I was planning the week of video shoots, I said we need to go do this one first. We're going to do it. Well, also Dave was initially had on his calendar to be here with us for the whole week,
Right.
and for his solo album, Simon Phillips was tracking drums, and it was like the only time that he could do it, and Dave needed to be there. And he was like, well, can we do it at a different time? And I was like, no, we can't. Like, we can't keep pushing things back any longer. So Dave said, okay, well, he'll do his thing in California, and then he flew back Sunday, and then he was with us on Monday or something like that. Or
But
Sunday, whatever the schedule was.
Shelby got the fix. I know we talked about this in the live stream, but not everybody's watching every video. So I think it's worth mentioning again that she had found the perfect fix for him not being there when she did the video.
Well, yeah, because
So
we planned to go. I wanted to go to I knew the train station would be the least busy on a Saturday. So that's why Shelby flew in on Friday. We went to Poughkeepsie on Saturday and we shot near the garage. We shot the hallway shot. We saw a bunch of the shots. And then when we were in the grand lobby was when Mr. Personality showed up and we were having to hurry up and finish that stuff. But what Darin and Natalie were talking about with those Dave shots is near the parking garage, near over the platform, those big giant arches. And I didn't know, Shelby, I didn't know what you were seeing in the camera. I thought you were just kind of shooting her dancing around or whatever. And then Dave shot that other footage in Spain or Portugal playing the guitar solo. And you did a great job of bringing him in through those arches. Like, how did you think of that?
It's all everything that I do is trial and error and a mixture of happy accidents and experimenting.
That's a very good term, happy accidents.
Yeah.
Very
Yes,
good
yes.
term.
I knew that I had to find a way to incorporate Dave's footage into this, but I wasn't sure how to best do that in a way where it didn't seem like a jarring cut, right? Because it's the footage that Dave sent over was filmed on a different camera, so there was a different look to it. And I think if I was to just do hard, solid cuts between, it wouldn't have gelled. So I thought, okay, right. I find I really thrive off of creative limitations, right? If I find that there's a limitation, I'm a problem solver. I think, right, how can I creatively incorporate this footage in? What if I blended the footage into the existing footage that we have? Oh, wait a minute. The framing of these archways is almost like a screen into another world. And like the view is already incredible. You know, we've got the train line in the background and the hills, and it's already gorgeous. But what if we ever so slightly subtly put Dave there, like it's a big screen?
Yeah.
I guess that was my way of making it look more visually interesting rather than just have it cut to him. And that way it almost justifies the different look, right?
Yeah.
that was how that ended up being. And that wasn't intended. Don't get me wrong. I did not foresee that happening. All I saw on the day was, wow, what a view. I really love that I can get a really symmetrical framing. And then when we captured Natalie and like the train went by in the background, I just thought, this is a magical shot. This looks amazing. And I think I ran with that. And it seems to really paid off.
Yeah, it looks great. It
does look great.
Everything about it looks great. And Andrew and I have been talking about it this week. You had an idea for shots that we just didn't envision, especially the one where I was sitting on the benches in the lobby and how you had me kind of lean over one of the benches from some of the intense lyrics and stuff. It was just, that's why there are people who do that kind of thing. It was just great. It was really great.
I really struggle with explaining my workflow and explaining what I intend to do there and then in the moment. All I can see is, oh, this shot looks really good. Just trust me on this. Trust me, it'll all come together.
Yeah,
because
nice.
I can see how I will use the shot and how it would fit into the greater story of how the edit comes together. I've always really struggled with explaining. It's why I going back to the video that I did for Kairos is the End in Mind. That's one of the only videos I've ever worked on in my life where I actually storyboarded and planned out the shots. But
oh, wow.
I've done loads of videos. I used to work for Crystal Spotlight where I was churning out videos every other week for them, for clients. but not once did I storyboard. I always just had to say to the client, trust me, just trust me, trust the process. And then if there's anything you want to edit afterwards, we can do that, but within reason and stuff, but you're going to have to trust me on this. I think it's because so much of it is a mixture of, I know how I'm going to use this shot, but then I also know how I can experiment with this shot if I don't get out of it what I intend to get out of it. Going back to the whole, happy accidents and experimenting and trying out different things. The third rail video involved a lot of blending different shots together to create a sense of just, it's interesting, right? Your eyes can latch onto one shot or the other, even though they're happening at the same time. And it's not a matter of just taking one shot and turning down the opacity. It's like I'm using different blend modes, which is essentially it's muting certain colors or muting certain luminance levels within that shot and blending it in with the shot that's underneath, which I find is, I've always been really into layering. It comes across in my writing as well. I love layering. It tickles a part of my brain where if I get bored of one shot, I can just phase that out and watch another shot.
Well, that's why I wanted to go to both train stations, because I wanted you to have a bunch of different options. And when we left Poughkeepsie, we went to Rhinecliff, and the sun was going down. It was the right time of day to get some good light. Hopefully it wasn't too harsh. You had a really cool shot on the overpass with those green bars. You had a cool shot of us with the steps. That's where we could go get on the train tracks, which good luck going, anywhere else we could go on the train tracks. You had a cool shot of us walking away or walking towards the camera, or Natalie's dancing, and that was great. And actually, Natalie had the idea for the ending scene of the two benches where we get up and walk together. That was nice. We incorporated
That's really nice shot. That was one of those shots that for me, I knew in the moment exactly what I wanted to do with it, which was cut it in time with the music, bringing you closer together with each downbeat, and it worked out. It worked out really well. I love that shot.
Yeah.
We were modulating on the same frequency there.
And I remember our batteries it was towards the end of the day, and the battery was running low. We had to remember.
I think we were all feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah. We were like, we got to get it done for it.
And I couldn't really explain what I wanted, and then we got the video back from you, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I had in my head. That was perfect. So yeah, it was great.
Worked out really well, and it is just such a nice shot with the hills in the background and the trees, and that sense of depth is always just, I love the lenses I use for filming these this video in particular, but anytime I was doing a lot of live action videos back in the past, whether it be with Kairos or with Crystal Spotlight, the lenses that I use for filming are these old vintage Canon lenses from the 70s. And they're built like tanks, solid metal lenses. You can get some really nice depth of field effects with them, like shallow depth of field effects, where you can really completely blur out the background and create this sort of hazy cinematic look. And that's exactly what I where does balloons come from?
Where did that come from? Sorry.
I don't know. You know what? It's been happening on Zoom calls with my clients too.
I thought Darin did that. You didn't do that, Darin?
No. And
why would I have balloons?
Shelby's talking about cinematic effects, and Darin gives us the happy birthday.
Say it again. Say it
again. I thought
again.
I was going insane. I saw that in the corner of my eye.
Maybe it's a robot.
We can't edit that out though. That's fantastic.
Oh no, that will remain.
Well,
I think it's important. This is kind of looking back and looking forward. One of the reasons that I wanted to work with Don from D City Productions, who did 3 of these official videos, one of which everyone has already seen by now if you're watching this live, which for Tempus Horribilis, is because I knew that with what Shelby did for us, Don's shooting and he's got other people shooting, but he's already in his mind, he's directing, he's shooting, he's directing, he's editing. He already knows what he wants to do with different shots. So it's the same thing that you did. And Darin is the editor for the official video for the song You. Every time we have to say it, we have to say the song You, because every time we say You, people think we're talking about you. So we say the song You. And he said, and I remember the day that we shot that, which was 2 days after we shot this third rail video. And Darin's going, and in the moment, Darin kept giving very specific advice, because we had talked about some of the scenes, like there was a long hallway scene, there was a front deck scene, there was all these scenes. But Darin, to me, sounded like he had very specific concepts and ideas. And now he's going through all the footage and putting it together. And what did you say? I wish
forgot
I had an
all-
assistant taking notes for me that day
Yeah.
because I don't
forgot
remember
all
what
my
that was.
ideas and everything. So excellent.
That's good. It'll be like,
It'll come back to me, I'm sure, after watching this video for hundreds of hours. I'm sure it'll.
You can come in with a totally fresh approach, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's usually what happens too, right? That's good though. I mean, we got the footage that we want, or at least what I thought I wanted, and we'll parse it out later,
good.
right?
Perfect. All right, honey. Anything else?
I think that's about it for this one. We're just today, we're just doing this one behind the official video. Thank you, Shelby, so much for taking time to be here.
And Darren Z, we know
And
it's your
Darin,
Sunday
thank you for
off
taking the
too.
time to be
Yes,
here.
thank you for showing up for these. Okay.
I think this
All
is at the whim of the Italian family.
It
right?
is.
That what
I don't
happens?
know. Sometimes she wants to go do things. Sometimes she doesn't. I'm at her mercy. So
We are selling more and more CDs in the United Kingdom every day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nice.
every day. That's like 40% of our market is the United Kingdom. So
Yes.
Cool.
we should have some people out in
Cool.
Europe. I just want to say Europe, where the prog came from.
All
So
right.
that's enough.
Thank
That's
you.
enough
Thank
for
you.
this
Thank you.
episode of Behind the Official Video. Thank you so much for watching. Shelby, Natalie, Darin, thank you for being here today, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.